Well, hello guys, welcome back to the channel. And in this one, we're going to fix our little transistor radio. We're going to try and restore him back to how he was originally. So I hope you come along on this journey with me and we'll see if we can make him as good as new. And while we're watching this video, please subscribe if you want to follow me on the journey through all these radios and so forth. Hit the like button and make sure you click the bell on the subscribe so you can be notified when the next video comes up. Okay, well, the case we're going to do last. There he is. Bit worse for wear. It's not real crash hot, but I'm sure we'll do something with that fella. Meanwhile, on the introduction video, that's our little transistor, 1961, I think he is, 61, 62, and it's a national T12. He doesn't make much noise, as you can possibly hear. Yeah, not a lot of noise there, and does improve a little bit louder when you leave him on for 5 minutes or so. So we're assuming a cap, possibly the coupling cap to the volume control, something like that. But the whole thing, now I have managed to find a circuit for this. The little top piece here that's missing is two little, it's an earphone and an extension speaker, which is rather, yeah, that's rather strange. Now, this little fella here that we thought was an earphone is not. It's external antenna, a provision there for an external antenna. This little fella on the back, I'll try and show him to you. If we can get a focus on that, we probably can't. Yeah, there we go. Is earphone and speaker. I didn't see this when we were first looking at it. An extension antenna, and you can see external battery there as well, which is battery or power pack. But anyway, that's what was in there, and we've got to find something else that's how we're going to go to put an earphone socket in there, as well as building up a little piece there that's broken, but most of all, getting him going. Righto, enough chit chat, on with the show. Let's get him going. Okay, well, first of all, let's get the back off. Doing this on an old towel. Certainly don't want to sit him on the bench to scratch him any further or anything like that. Right. And that's the inside of a case. You guys saw this on the last video anyway, of the introduction. Yeah. So there he is. Now, first of all, our two batteries out. I want to remove this from the case so that we can work on him and see what's going on here. Obviously, we can't do anything under the circuit board until we get him out. So, where do we start? Screw there, there's two there, there's two there, but they're probably held in with this piece that goes across there, which holds the antenna. Oh boy, possibly that fellow in there, this one, and there's probably one up here underneath the volume control, underneath our thumb wheel. So, yeah, okay. We'll just start by removing some of these. Now, I'm pretty sure there's one up here. So I've got to remove our knob off. There's not much to grip hold of on this little fella. Okie doke. Now, okay, so we've got a couple of screws down here. I would say both those, and this seems to be all one part. Right, I'll get these little screws out. Now, what have we got? Still doesn't want to move. Maybe those two. Boy, how long is this one? We're not sure whether this is part of the gear or not. He doesn't want to lift there. That's a shorter one, so maybe this one held the antenna bracket on. Okay, I'd say it did. So we might try and pop that back in there to hold our antenna bracket if he'll screw back in. I'd say a nut has fallen off on the inside of him. Okay. And yes, it has. And we also have a broken piece from under here somewhere. And we also have another nut, and somehow our dial cord is, that was a bad blow, our dial cord is attached to this. Yeah. So I'll just try and put this little fella back, or put one of them back while I get this out to hold our dial cord in place. Probably too late. And you guys know how I love dial cords. Great things. Okay, got him going back in there. Right, that will hold him there for the moment anyway. Okay, now we do have a broken ferrite as well. A few little bits and pieces wrong with him. This fella, this wire holding him in here is our external antenna wire. So I think we'll disconnect. He's down in there. I think we'll disconnect him to start with. We should be able to get to that fellow in there, no problem. There we go. And I think the only couple of things holding him here. I thought the only thing holding him was the speaker wires, but there's a battery cable here that has to come out, which is our negative of the battery. The white is the negative, it looks like a pale green is the negative. So let's unsolder this fella. Go. This fella, which is our positive. And you guys probably can't see this, but anyway, there he is. Little green, pale green wire. Yeah, positive. Now we're getting there. Now the speaker wants to come out with this. So I think I'll just lift him all out. And that's what we've got. Bit of work in this one. Quite a bit of work. And this little fella here, well, that's our headphone socket. And yeah, we've got to come up with some other arrangement there. He might have to be a 2.5mm socket somehow mounted in this or beside it or something. But anyway, there's the rest. A little bit of tape on there. And let's see if we can get this dial cord back on. Yeah, we might look at that a little bit later on. Okay, you need to take that switch out, the headphone, the tone switch coming out, and we'll disconnect our speaker at the moment. I'm also going to take this blue wire off the antenna. When we're putting this together, we may use a little bit lighter wire because this stuff is very old, very thick and hard. We'll unsolder the speaker and at least get it out of the road while we're working on the rest of this. Which is also a pale green. Very handy having the battery, but the battery may go through the speaker coil. Not real. I've had a look at the diagram, but I'm not real sure of it yet. And that's our speaker off. Once again, wire very hard and old. Now, we know our speaker works okay. We've heard noises from it, so yeah, that's what he looks like. And the back of him, there you go. Just twist those together a little bit. Now the speaker wire does also go over here to the headphone socket. A little bit of a trick here. I don't quite know what we're going to do. We may have to put a blank in there and put a 2.5mm socket on it, just so the headphone will work. But we might have enough room for a 3.5. But I don't know. These look. This looks pretty proprietary. I'm not real sure how we'd go with this. Okay, let's get the tone switch out. A little spacer there on top of him. That's our tone switch. Right, now we're left with something we can do something with. All right, and we're left with this thing. We've got our work cut out here, guys. Lots of little grey proprietary caps. Yeah. These fellas, it's It's going to be a bit of work to restore this little fella, but we do know it works, other than a bit of feedback and so forth, which will all be caps. There's our DC socket mounted there for external power. As I said, this is a battery lead, and this little fella is our headphone socket. Got no idea how that sort of thing was ever. It's a very different type of headphone socket. So we may not be able to replicate that fella, but I'm sure we'll get something that'll fit in here in his place. Let's get this fella off. And if you hear the ticking and a little bit of noise in the background, it's my diesel heater going in my workshop. Boy, it works really, really well. Only it makes an annoying ticking sound. Okay, that's off. We're going to have to find something to replace that. I'm sure we'll find something. Meanwhile, that's our speaker line. That's our speaker line. And we have a damaged ferrite rod, which is a shame. There is actually a little bit split off the side of him. Which isn't in the radio. This is, a little bit of a concern, but I'm sure we'll be able to super glue this fella back together. And he's also got a chip out of him there, but I think we'll be able to do something with him. We'll have to take the rod out of the coil. So, and this is our little tone switch, which appeared to work. So that's what we've got, guys. That's where we're up to at the moment with it. Next job, probably removing the aerial, getting it fixed up out of the road. Then capacitors, I guess. There's quite a few in here. And let's do the dial cord last. Oh, geez, I hate dial cords. Tuning gang does appear to move quite okay. There's our diode, an OA70. There's an oldie for you. How's that? OA70. This is an old radio. This would be very early 60s or 60. But I'll tell you what, once we get him going, I reckon he'll be a pearler. Okay, then we'll get on to the next bit of the video and get this rod out and go from there. We'll unscrew all this, get him out, and see what we can do with him. Well, guys, we're back after a couple of days' break. I've been working on some other gear, but what I've managed to do, pull him apart, pulled everything off him, and clean the case up. I've still yet to clean this fella up on the inside of him. That's our external antenna socket. Otherwise, they built them well, didn't they, back in those days? Very good, very well. Now that's the front, of course. The back, I've removed the stickers, which will be going back in there, and not much to do on this one. A little bit of, where is he? A little bit of work there. just on the edge, and this one, yeah, just on the edge there. So I've got to work out just how I'm going to put something in there just to fill that and try and match the colour. This is also another problem, but not a very big one. Super glue fixes that. So we've got a couple of other things here that we've cleaned up. The mesh grill come up fairly good, actually. It's yeah, it's pretty good. Our little dial come up perfectly. He's very nice. Probably see it better with the white background. But yeah, that's nice, and a little sparkly diamond there in the centre, which of course is probably a bit of plastic. I don't know what. It's probably a bit of glass, maybe. But anyway, that come up well. The dial surround has come up like this so far. Now, this was all painted white. It was chipped off and everything. So what I've got to do now is find the, it's a very matte white to go around there. The gold trim will stay around that fella and on the name. So, yeah, a little bit to do there on the name. Well, you can see the remnants of the white. That doesn't matter as long as we can get the tops of the letters showing gold again. So that's probably doesn't show on the camera as gold. That's about the best I can get it as far as gold with the reflection. You can see it a little bit there, just on that angle. But yeah, that's got to be done. The antenna rod, yeah, we just glued him, super glue, and then a nice little bit of heat shrink across the end of him. There's a little slither missing there. I doubt if that's going to affect it. The coil goes on this end. There's there's plenty of room there. So yeah, he come up okay. So the next bit of the project, I guess, is getting this bit working. What I will be doing is I will. I think it's easier to just change all the caps. This is a restoration job, so it'll be. I want all the caps changed anyway. This will be something for my cabinet, display cabinet. So I, want to change all the caps for sure. So we'll be doing that, working out this dial cord arrangement. There's a little bit of plastic inside there to patch up, as you may have seen earlier. And I'll just get him over here. And yeah, circuit board's fairly clean. We cleaned him up a bit. Pot will have to be cleaned. But I think the place to start will be the electros. Now, there's quite a few of them in here, all the little grey fellas. I don't know whether I've got all of them in low voltage. I may have. I think 63 volts about the minimum I've got, but I may have some 6 volt or 10 volt caps that will fit in here. So that's our next job. Clean the switch, and then we'll put the rod antenna back in. And after I fix this little bracket on this end here, put the rod back on, and then we'll try him out after I've done the caps. It's no use in trying it now. We know the caps are crook. You saw what it was doing. So we'll check the resistors, but I doubt very much whether any of those will give any problems. Okay, so we better get on with it. Right, now, the next thing I was going to do was the caps, but I want to make certain of something here. Now, I've taken, as you saw, the dial and the thumb wheel off this little tuning capacitor. Now, this is very hard to turn. This top one was okay, so what I want to do is remove the tuning cap and find out why he's a little bit hard to turn. We might have to do something with him. And as well as that, I can repair the little broken piece down in the side there on just under my finger there. So I don't know why this is, you can turn it, but it is very tight on what it should be. Hopefully it's just gummed up a little bit with the dust and dirt on its bearing, but I would like to get that sorted before we go too far. Probably, I don't know whether I'll have to take this plastic piece off the tuning. Might be the best way of doing this, and certainly easier to repair the plastic piece. But anyway, let's have a look at this and we'll see what we can do. And you can probably hear the rain in the background. It's raining quite heavily at the moment. So I won't put any background music on because you've got the pitter-patter of the falling rain in the background. Right. Now that comes off. And now a little tuning capacitor comes out of there. Now I've got to find out which way he goes in. So obviously that way. Now there's a little mark there on the edge of him, but I'm also putting a little mark to the outside. This fellow, we can put him aside for the moment. Now I want this plastic piece out. Don't know we might just leave the volume pot, I think. We'll just clean him up. There's no need to disconnect anymore, I don't think. So we'll just leave him there, clean this up, put the screw back in that's supposed to be holding this fellow, which we took out that we shouldn't have. And then while I'm doing that, I'll clean the pot, clean the rest of this up. And then just here, we'll super glue our other little broken piece back onto him, which is actually the little foot that secures this piece of plastic to the case. Okay, so we have this, just get in line here with the camera. We have this little fella. Now I've put a line along there so that we know that this little cover goes back on this way. Now I've got to really get this cover off. So now we're left with this little cover. Now that cover actually is just being, I don't know whether it's being glued on or sticky taped or under there. It doesn't actually look real good. Looks like this fellow here has been glued on. Sorry, I'm not concentrating on the camera here. That fella's been glued on, and the glue's had a little bit of an adverse reaction on the plastic. Anyway, we'll try and lift this plastic off and see what we've got underneath. Don't think glue was the right choice to use to put that little cover on. Okay, got the cover off, and he doesn't look too bad under there. Anyway, there's not much dust or anything like that in him. We might he does actually move. He moves okay. But fairly tight. So we might just put a tiny drop of lube just on there, and certainly won't need much, and see if we can just get that shaft moving a little bit easier if it's catching in there. If not, we might have to go under the microscope and pull this little fellow apart and find out why it's catching, or the plates are rubbing, or whatever's happening under here. Okay, let's lube him up. It should be enough there. He's still very tight. Yeah, that doesn't seem to be freeing him up somehow. So, yeah, I think the next step, we'll go one step further and remove the back cover with those 4 little screws. This is certainly getting into it, isn't it? Okay, let's have a go at doing this, and might give you guys a little bit better look at that. Okay. Must be something catching or rubbing here, possibly from where it's been glued in the past. Gee, this is really getting involved. Okay, a little trimmer. Now what happens? Let's say this is being glued when it really shouldn't have been glued. And unless we can fix this, our little thumb wheel just will not turn this little tuning gang. There we go. And what have we got here? Now, we've got to know which way to put this fella back on. We have a problem here. Looks like he may have been under that screw, maybe, yeah, I don't really know. So, contact there, and it's supposed to be a contact here for those two. Okay, you guys remember that? So, looking at him with our little stroke there that we've marked on him, goes to more or less here, which is his nose and his mouth. Let's call that his mouth and his nose. So that actually goes back on just like that. Here we have some more glue. This thing has been pulled apart, glued, and then put back together, and possibly something amiss here. Oh dear. Okay. And believe it or not, he's very easy to turn there, but he's jamming on this little fellow. Let's get him out. Now the fellow on this side also has a little connection there on that screw, and so does this fellow. And there he is. There we are. There's our connector for that fella. Comes from here. It's still intact. We take that plate off, and he doesn't look too bad. Now, guys, this is how it goes together. We're going down here. This is the back one. So, you guys can't see that. I'm going to show you, and as well as that, show myself what I need to know here. Okay, there we go. So that's your back one. Then we're going for another plate, and I can see this has had moisture or something like that in it. That's actually the plate of our capacitor. Or one of them. He seems to have a little bit of corrosion or something in there, which is a little bit of a worry. But I'm not real sure how to go any further getting this little fellow off. Going to have a look through the microscope. Unfortunately, it doesn't interface with my camera or anything else, but I want to have a look at a little bit closer and find out what's going on here. So I'll pause you guys for a minute till I find out what we're going to do with this bit. Well, guys, here we are. We got him off. They were only a push fit, these fellas, on the shaft. This little fella, he goes up the front, and a little spot of damage there, but I don't know whether it's damage or what that is. It looks okay under the microscope. So we go that one, and then we go our actual plates that revolve. That needs a little bit of cleaning up, and the other top piece. Well, that's the back of him, and there he is with his two trimmers. So whether we can get this thing back together, it'll be a miracle. And then we'll somehow work out how this goes together, being very careful not to break off those little pieces. If they break off, there's a little bit of a hassle there. It's not something you could easily solder back on. And the same at the back piece, which is that little fella there. So the front one is probably the oscillator and the oscillator gang, and the back one is the antenna gang. Okay, I'll clean these up and I'll be back. Here's a look inside. And if we put this little shaft in, you'll see the stops of how this fella works inside him. Now, I'm not saying we're going to be able to do this, so it's a learning exercise for everyone here. So I'll just push that fella in, and now you will see how he goes around and hits the stop at the other side. He cruises along in the groove there, and then hits his stop when he gets to the end. I'm a little bit ahead of myself here. I haven't cleaned this second one. This is the plates. that actually move. So I'll just clean him up before we push him back on here. Well, guys, we've come to a standstill, and we've come to a major problem with this little tuning capacitor. This one, these plates are a plastic type material that is, and half of it is sprayed with some sort of conductive paint or silver paint, and it's cracked, which I did notice when I pulled it apart, but I didn't know that that actually cracks the paint. I thought there was some tin foil underneath here. Now, I don't know how we could do anything with this. Rebuilding it would be just about impossible. So, yeah. But as you can see, it's cracked there, and that actually cracks the surface of the sprayed on silver conductive paint that's on the surface. So, and then there's a plastic layer put over the top of that to protect it against the ground connections at the back. This rubs up against this fella, and that gives us our variable capacitance. So unless I can find another one, we may be able to modify this. I don't know how. I think I can get another tuning gang to work in this radio. It's the actual circuit says it's 12 picofarad and to 212 picofarad. So we've got a 200 picofarad span there. So yeah, big shame with this. Wanted to keep it original, but I don't know how we could go about rebuilding this. I've thought of ideas of aluminium foil and all sorts of things, but I just don't think anything is going to work. But anyway, that's where we're at the moment. So until we can maybe get another tuning capacitor from somewhere, and I've scounged through eBay and I can find some of these that have got the same problem. And in America, they're actually asking 43 American for a tuning gang with one gang broken. Why? I suppose you could buy it for a crystal set or something like that. But we need both gangs working, the antenna as well. So, yeah, not much we can do with this fella. Okay, we're going to call it quits for this little fella at the moment, and we'll see what we can do. I'll keep on this and come back as soon as I can.